that's not too bad. I've been out most of the day doing things. My glasses have gotten kind of dirty, but I'll clean them once I get settled down. It's mid-afternoon. I've had kind of an interesting day. I had a couple of things planned. Didn't get to do them all. One of the things I had planned didn't turn out to be very much of a picture. I'm not going to worry about it. Won't even tell you about it. I saw another great picture that I could shoot. Well, maybe not great, but another opportunity for a great picture. But I had to go by it because I had an errand I had to run. I had to go to the bank and do some things. Had to get that done first. Didn't want to miss the opportunity to settle my finances, which can always use settling. So I finished all that and I took the roundabout. One of the things I don't do is when I go on a feature hunt, when I go out to look for photographs, I typically travel the road one time, and then when I need to come back, I'll travel a different path. I don't do that all the time, but most of the time that's what I do, so I see more spaces. I don't necessarily see the same thing from a different direction, which may be a good idea, but if I don't go on these different paths, I don't get to see all the possibilities and all the different locations. Enough of that. So I made a return to my original location on a different path, and I turned the corner and I said, oh, look, I wonder what that crane is doing over there. Wait a second. That's not a crane. That's the city's new fire truck. So I went over, and sure enough, the city has a new fire truck with a tiller attached to the back. That's one of those trucks with a engine and driver in the front and a tiller in back, which is also steerable. And it's new to the city. They haven't had one before, brand new. And so I went over to take a look at it because they had the ladder up and extended, and they were spraying water. And I said, you know, I need to go figure out what this is going to look like. I need to go photograph this. So I went over, started making photographs. I had about 2 minutes to shoot a picture before they shut the water off, brought the ladder down, and put the hoses away. But I made a couple of pictures, nothing great. There was a rainbow out over the water that they were spraying, over the holding pond behind the fire station, and I tried to get something on that. Didn't work very well. And I really, like I said, only had 2 minutes to do it, because if I'd have had another 5 or 6 minutes, I was going to run off and get the drone, and I was going to try to get a drone picture of the new fire truck spraying water with the fire station in the background. Didn't happen. It might happen another time. I'm sure the opportunity will arise again. Well, I'm glad to be back. I just ran my battery down. I should have checked it before I started doing the video. One of the things that I've learned is that you have to build relationships with a lot of people in order to work within their sphere, to be able to get close to what they're doing. And one of the relationships I have is relatively good with the fire department. Began a number of years ago at a house fire where I wanted to get fairly close to do some things, but they didn't know me very well. I've done this so many years, I knew the routine. And I noticed that the fire chief was watching me. I paused for a moment, because I got there fairly quick, and I paused for a moment just as they were charging lines. And I just stopped. Didn't go near anything to where it was happening. Stopped, watched it very closely. Didn't get any closer, didn't attempt to do anything until everything settled down. And then I approached the fire truck in a way that they understood that I knew what I was doing. Then I stayed away. I didn't get close. I worked from across the street, worked from down the street with the telephoto. I'm very careful about what I do. I'm trying to make good storytelling pictures. If it's a raging fire, I want to get the raging fire. In this particular case, it wasn't a giant raging fire. It was a fire that was confined to an upstairs on the house, and it was a house that had a lot of stuff in it. When the firefighters came out, they were obviously stressed. They were still breathing heavy, they were sweating, they were covered in water, they were covered in dirt and soot from where they'd been in the house knocking down walls and pulling down ceilings. And those made really dramatic pictures to show the intensity of what the firefighters do. And the chief later saw those pictures. He later saw what I'd shown to people who looked at the papers, what I'd shown to people who looked on the web, as to the intensity of the fire, not in the flames, but what it does to the firefighters. So we began to develop a relationship. It was a couple of years later, there was an accident in Uptown where a car ran through an intersection, had an accident, and ran in and collapsed the front of a building. When I got there, there wasn't much of a picture from outside. The car's nose was stuck in the building, but it was really hard to tell exactly. It was really hard to make a good picture out of it. So I looked over at one of the chiefs that was there, and I said, listen, can I go in to the building? He said, well, yeah. I said, listen, how about I just come in the rear, I'll shoot from the rear of the building, I'll shoot a picture up front, and then I'll get the hell out. He said, okay. So I did that. I went to the rear building, got in, I prepared myself, so I had all my cameras ready, all the ISO was set properly, everything was cleaned. I walked in, I was in maybe 2 minutes, shot a couple of pictures inside, stepped a little bit closer to get another one. There's always that moment where you know you're going to go to a point you shouldn't be, so you're going to go there in a hurry and step and get back. So I went over and started to shoot a picture, and when the chief inside came over to me and said, Gary, you'll have to leave. I said, okay, not a problem. So I left. I had a picture, not a big deal. So I left. A couple of months later, I'm out on another scene, and I was talking to the fire chief that I had not seen, the chief that I had seen inside that day, that I had not seen for weeks, months. So I went over to him, I said, listen, I just want to let you know that when I had the car that ran into the building and I was inside, I want to let you know I asked before I went in. I didn't just go in. I asked the chief outside if he'd mind me going in. And he said, I know, we talked about you. So they're aware of who I am and what I do, and now they're aware that I ask before I go in to do something. They're aware that I'm smart enough to not just go traipsing around like I'm the authority, like they have no way to control me, that I'm in charge, not them. And the reality is they're in charge. They can have me removed anytime they want to in a variety of ways. So they understand that I'm not there to do any harm to them. I'm not there to do any harm to me. I'm not there to do any harm to anyone. I'm just there to tell the story. And when you can have that relationship, whether it be the police or the fire or a construction supervisor or someone who works in an office building where you're going to be making photographs on a regular basis, if they know you're there to do storytelling and you're not there to cause harm to anyone, you're not going to have a problem. It's also nice that you know the parameters of the work that they're doing and what works and what doesn't work. When I'm on a construction site, I know I wear safety-toed shoes, I have a safety jacket, I have a hard hat. I know to stand far enough away. I know where to go, where not to go. Same thing at a fire scene, same thing at a police scene. And when someone tells you you can't be there, you go, okay, I'll leave for what you're leaving inside your head. You're saying, I'll leave for the moment, but I'm going to find a way to get my pictures. What was really important today was that I was able to get pictures with ease. I had a long conversation with the firefighter who was in charge. We talked about the vehicle. It's a new vehicle. We got to talk about all sorts of great things. I always say this, when I'm finished with a shoot, whoever I'm talking to that has the authority, I always say, hey, thanks for letting me hang around. I appreciate you letting me stay. It'd be real easy just to tell me to go the hell away, and I appreciate it when you let me stay. And he said, Gary, you're welcome anytime. That's what you want to hear as a news photographer, as you're welcome anytime. It'd be nice to have that said more than just on a news photos feature hunt, wouldn't it? Hey, you're welcome anytime. You're welcome to be here anytime. That's what you want. That's the essence of what you want to do when you're out making photographs. You want everybody you're there with to be able to say in their mind, you're welcome to be here anytime. YouTube stuff, subscribe, ring the bell, comment, like, share. Thank you very much. I'll see you another time. I'll be back in a minute. Ta-doo.